The world is full of amazing animals and creatures that we love to see every day. But sometimes, Mother Nature creates something truly disgusting, something that nightmares are made of. When we see them, our reactions are completely different. Of course, most people decide to take pictures of the monstrosities, so in this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 nightmare creatures that have been caught outside of people's homes. Be ready for a fright, because these stories aren't for the faint-hearted. Before we begin, make sure you hit that subscribe button to get notified every day for more amazing content. With that being said, let's begin. Number 5. Frog Body. When you leave the house, there's all sorts of things you might expect to see, but for one couple in Norway, their worst nightmare was about to come true. Carl Ingar Fossbakken's wife went out one morning from their home in central Norway and found this bizarre corpse lying on the ground. It's got completely smooth skin, is virtually transparent, and is about 10 inches long. It's so gross it would look at home in any horror movie, but in this case, it's all too real. His wife immediately ran indoors and asked him to remove it, but he did what any self-respecting person would do these days and started by taking photos of it to publish online. The images quickly became a viral hit and had many people questioning exactly what it could possibly be. Was it a part of a deer, a caribou, or even a moose? Some even thought it could be the decayed remains of an ill-fated bat that had fallen to the ground from a nest before it was ready to fly. Whatever it was, it's not something you typically see every day, and an expert from the Adger Nature Museum arrived to take a look. The zoologist Roar Solheim only needed a moment to identify the horrific sight. He believes it was the remains of a partially digested frog, likely eaten by a heron. He believed that its predator soon realized that it had bitten off way more than it could chew and had no choice but to regurgitate it. He identified it as being a frog or toad because of the distinctive shape of their feet, not seen in any other species. The hind legs of the amphibian are folded forward, which explains why it looks so strange, and the smoothness of the skin can be explained by the actions of stomach acid trying to digest the creature before it was expelled. Either way, it's totally horrific and looks more like an alien body than that of anything terrestrial. It'll also make Carl's wife think twice before she leaves the house in the future, because who knows what she might find outside next. Number 4. Slug Battle. This next nightmare discovery comes from an unknown location, but became a viral video in September of 2017 because of the disgusting scene that played out and was caught on camera. The clip starts off by watching a slug slithering down a wall outside the photographer's home. As the camera slowly pans down, it becomes apparent that the slug is not alone. He shouts out, "What are you guys doing? What is that?" as 2 more of the creatures are revealed, writhing around with each other. Before you realize what's happening, the scene gets even worse when, while still squirming, long worm-like creatures suddenly squirt out from both of their stomachs. Quite literally, a gut-wrenching event. Unsure of whether they were giving birth or something more sinister was happening, the 2 observers try to contain their disgust as they continue to film the event. Saying he wasn't sure whether he should puke or be moved, the video continues to show the mysterious, slimy creatures fully leaving the stomachs of the slugs and moving away. Viewers of the video were just as disturbed, with one saying, "It looks like an alien invasion just hit and they were using the slugs' bodies as a disguise," with another commenting that, "This is too gross, how is he casually just standing there filming?" It's a fair question, because most people would have just left the slugs to it, but in the modern world of filming everything, it's no surprise that he did stay there. The truth did eventually come out after zoologists took a look at the video. It turns out that it's a completely natural process of slugs giving birth, just one that isn't witnessed by humans too often. The animal world has a habit of being utterly disgusting when these kinds of things are happening, and in the case of slugs, it's not uncommon for 2 pregnant ones to help each other squeeze out the young. The worm-like creatures will hide away while they grow and eventually mature into fully formed slugs of their own, ready to repeat the process all over again. Number 3. Camel Spider. Depending on where you live in the world, you may be quite used to finding spiders or even scorpions outside your house, so you wouldn't necessarily react too badly, except for, of course, keeping your distance. But for a man in Arizona, the discovery of a camel spider sent shivers down his spine. Looking like a cross between a spider and a scorpion, these animals can grow big enough to eat rodents, lizards, and even birds. At some angles, they look like they've come straight out of an alien movie where they try to hug onto your face, but they are all too real and quite common across the planet. They're also known as wind scorpions and are actually related to both spiders and scorpions. It's classified as an arachnid, but rather than being a true spider, they're actually more like a scorpion. Often they appear to have 10 legs, but in fact they have 8 legs along with 2 sensory appendages called pedipalps, and have powerful pinchers and large jaws. These horrifying animals are native to Arizona, something Thomas Acosta, the man who found this one near his home, didn't realize. He'd heard of them before, but thought they were only present in Middle Eastern countries like Iraq. In fact, they can live in any dry regions and are present on all continents apart from Antarctica and Australia. The camel spiders have the largest jaw-to-body ratio of any known animal, but you'll be relieved to know that, despite rumors that occasionally spread around the internet, these vicious-looking things are not venomous. They're linked with very few attacks on humans or large animals, and even if they were to nip you, all you would receive is a minor injury. They're carnivorous or omnivorous and feed on things like termites, darkling beetles, and other small ground-dwelling animals. On occasion, they've also been seen eating spiders or other scorpions as well. They grow up to 4.7 inches long, and their top speed is up to 10 miles per hour. This means they can easily be outpaced by a human, so even if you find yourself unfortunate enough to encounter one, you'll be able to easily get away from it. Number 2. An alien. This next nightmare creature was found by a woman in California when she went into her backyard one evening. Jana Peponis heard a screaming sound at about 11:30 p.m. at night and went to investigate. If there's ever a story that'll make you reconsider exploring rural areas late at night, then it's probably this one, because she found something truly disgusting. What she found was this: a slimy, pink, seemingly half-developed creature that, like others on this list, could easily have been part of a terrifying movie. On discovery, there were liquids still oozing out of the mysterious creature, and it was noticeably becoming smaller, perhaps because gases were being ejected. According to Peponis, it was already dead when she found it, so naturally she took a photo and posted it on Facebook to try and find out what it was. She had no clue, and it didn't seem similar to any animals that she'd seen previously in the area. That's probably a relief though, because if these things were regularly on the prowl, you'd wonder why anyone would choose to live there. The image ended up being shared loads and was reposted on Reddit by a concerned friend and led to more people offering their opinions. Most people felt that it was quite clearly an alien and looked very similar to a facehugger, and it's clear to see why. You can just imagine Ridley Scott applying this to some poor person's face on film set. Others, though, responded with more reasonable suggestions and thought it was something more earthbound, but struggled to suggest what it could possibly be. One user, who seems to have cracked the case, did so by posting their own picture of a deer fetus side by side with the one taken by Peponis, and this looks like the most likely explanation. All mammals experience complications during birth, and it's not uncommon for mammals to have stillborn children just like humans. The screech that she heard was most likely the mother crying and having no choice but to abandon it. The other marks on this creature make it look like a predator's had a taste, which would explain its particularly gnarled appearance. Number 1. Cat rats. South Africa is renowned for its varied wildlife, from the largest animals in the world to some of the creepiest. But one discovery made by a family in Lethabang, to the south of the country, turned out to be worse than your wildest imagination. The terrified family, after finding these creatures that appear to be half cat and half rat, immediately called their local church leader to help kill them. Local legend believes that these animals are cursed beasts, after their origin was left completely undetermined. They were behind their grocery cupboard, so their pastor arrived with a grinding machine to help retrieve them and get rid of them. The local Wildlife Protection Agency, the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, weren't happy about this course of action and said the animals should have been kept and handed over to them. By the time their officers had arrived at the scene, 4 had already been killed, but they were able to retrieve 2 specimens to take away for testing. They initially believed that they were of an unusual cat species that had not been seen before, and wanted to take blood samples to understand where they had come from. Ultimately, despite having 2 creatures to test, they were never able to find out what exactly they were. Perhaps they were part of a diseased litter or were indeed a brand new species. Even more mysterious was how the creatures managed to get behind the cupboards in the first place, and it led to suspicion that they may have burrowed through the walls. The family who found them moved out of their house soon after, so the new residents will probably be the ones to find out if this theory is true. In response to the incident, Carla Vanderberg, one of the animal welfare officers who attended the scene, said that there was a big concern about the treatment of unusual animals in the country because so many people panic when they find something strange, and their first instinct is to try and kill them. Instead, she said, people must try to remain calm and call the authorities. With so many endangered animals in the country, it would be a massive shame for someone to kill a rare species that poses no threat to them at all. Nevertheless, if these cat-rat creatures showed up in your kitchen, you'd probably find it difficult to resist the temptation to dispose of them quickly too, wouldn't you? Super exciting news, everybody! The time has finally come. Head over to Come Along and enjoy the positivity from cool life hacks and crazy experiments to real-life shocking facts and puzzles and animated riddles to keep your brain active and entertained. Click the circle button on the screen right now to subscribe to this awesome channel that's soon to explode across YouTube. Come on, press that subscribe button and watch the first video, or click the link in the description. We promise you'll love it.